Good evening and welcome to the regular council meeting of Wednesday, January 24th, 2024 at 4:41 due to technical difficulties in council chamber and via Zoom. We acknowledge that the town of Kirkland Lake is located on the traditional territory of Algonquin peoples, including Beaver House First Nation, and unceded territory of other Indigenous peoples. We recognize the presence of Algonquin, Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Cree, and Métis people in our community since time immemorial and honor their stewardship and care of these lands. We hereby affirm our continued commitment and responsibility to reconciliation. Call to order and a moment of silence. Item number 2, approval of the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Rod Chava, seconded by Councillor T.C. Owens, be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, January 24th, 2024, be approved as circulated.
All in favor? Okay, all opposed? None noted, item carried unanimous. Item number, declaration of pecuniary interest. None noted. Item number 4, petitions and delegations. Nothing noted for this evening. Item number 5, acceptance of minutes and recommendations. 5.1, council minutes.
Moved by Councillor Dolly Dyken, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen, be it resolved, council approves the minutes of the following meeting, minutes of the regular meeting of council held January 9th, 2024.
All in favor? Moving on, any opposed? None noted, item carried unanimous. Item number 5.2, committee of council minutes.
Moved by Councillor Dolly Dyken, seconded by Councillor Patrick Kiley, be it resolved, the council adopt the minutes of the following meeting. And it's of the Kirkland Lake Museum Advisory Committee special meeting held December 6th, 2023.
All in favor? Perfect. Opposed? None noted, item carried unanimous. Item 5.3, local and regional board minutes.
Moved by Councillor Rick Owen, seconded by Councillor Rod Chava, be it resolved, the council receive the minutes of the following meeting. Minutes of the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board of Directors held December 20th, 2023.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted, item carried unanimous. Let's close that. Item number 6, reports of municipal officers and communications. Item number 6.1, supplemental integrity commissioner vacancy, Jennifer Montoy, municipal clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, members of council. Further to the report given on January 9th, the city of Temiskaming Shores formally resolved to support the town in the chairing of its appointed integrity commissioner, who is Harold G. Elston, until the town completes its procurement process. The contract between the town and DPRA expired effective January 20th due to early termination notice received by DPRA Canada. Administration met with Mr. Elston, confirming his availability, familiarity with the language in the town's current code of conduct and inquiry protocol. Worth mentioning is the fact that Mr. Elston has a tenured appointment to a number of municipalities in Northern Ontario, is a lawyer in good standing with the Law Society of Ontario, and is welcoming of informal contact to better assist members of council and its local boards in navigating the legalese of the Code of Conduct and the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. The town has posted a call for proposal for integrity commissioner services running from January 19th through to February 15th. In terms of financial considerations, those mirroring the arrangements with the city of Temiskaming Shores, Mr. Elston's interim services proposal reports an hourly rate of $400 plus HST, no retainer plus other expenses, which are disbursements, and for all duties and services related to an interim appointment. Fees are only included on an upon request basis, and detailed accounts are supplied. However, detailed only insofar to provide anonymity of the process supported through the legislation. Administration does not foresee any material changes to the 2024 budget should the interim appointment be approved. And that would be the summary of my report, and I will reserve questions through you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions for members of council? None noted. I'll have the reading of the motion.
Moved by Counselor Rod Chaba, seconded by Counselor Rick Owen, be it resolved that report number 2024 Corp 003 entitled Supplemental Integrity Commissioner Vacancy be received, and that council authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to enter into a temporary services agreement with Harold G. Elston for Integrity Commissioner services commencing on January 24th, 2024, and that council hereby authorize the appointment of Mr. Harold G. Elston as interim Integrity Commissioner for the town of Kirkland Lake until such time that the town appoints a new Integrity Commissioner. And finally, that an execution and appointment bylaw be brought forward for 3 readings on January 24th, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item 6.2, borrowing authority for current expenditures. Lloyd Crawford, treasurer.
Madam Mayor, to council, this is a housekeeping report and bylaw. In this scenario where we don't have enough cash to pay our obligations during the year, this authorizes us to use up to $4 million of credit to augment our cash supply. That's the theory. The practice is we're very healthy right now in cash. It's hard to imagine a scenario where we would need to use the borrowing authority, but we need to put it in place just in case something happened. I can't imagine something, but in case. As I said, it's more or less a housekeeping type of item. Be happy to take questions.
Any questions from council? Councillor Chaba?
Yeah, actually, your worship to treasure, I get the logic, but the fact means that what happens if something comes up and the amount of $1 million or any amount for that matter, we still have to come here to let us know that, okay, we didn't really anticipate anything. This is a housekeeping item, but here we are. We got this amount of money that was got to spend, and we have to go to this line of credit. So do you come back here to let us know if anything should change that weren't spending or tapping into this?
Madam Mayor, I don't know if technically I have to come back. I can guarantee you I would come back. If we got to a scenario where technically I have to come back. So anyway, I would come back anyways, because that kind of a scenario would suggest something's pretty drastic has happened.
Notwithstanding the amount.
Yeah, understood.
All right.
Fair comment.
Councillor Owen?
Yes, through you, your worship, to Lloyd, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But historically, councils have done this, and the explanation they've given is that as we're waiting for taxes to come in, we may have a shortfall because the tax money hasn't come in yet. And this is a safeguard so that we can pay our bills and continue operating until the tax revenue comes in, and then the tax revenue goes to pay off the money we borrowed. As far as I know, as far as I can recall from my reporting days, I don't think it's ever been used. It's always been passed, but I can't remember in the last, say, 10 years where council has needed to use it.
Thank you for that addition. Anything further from council? That be noted. I'll have the reading of the motion.
Certainly, moved by Counselor Rick Owen, seconded by Counselor Patrick Kiley, be it resolved that report number 2024 Corp 4 entitled Borrowing Authority for Current Expenditures be received, and finally that the bylaw authorizing the borrowing for current expenditures for 2024 be brought forward for 3 readings on January 24th, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you. Item number 6.3, 2024 water and wastewater rates. Lloyd Crawford, treasurer.
Okay, Madam Mayor, and through you to council. We have in front of you a report which discusses our water and wastewater rates and our recommendation that we increase them at 1.7 and 3.5. Those numbers are consistent with the asset management plan that was presented in 2022 in an attempt to improve our financial situation to take care of our capital obligations and our capital needs going forward. We're still relying on that one. The next stage of the capital asset management plan hasn't been finalized, so we're using from the last report submitted to council. This is an interim step when it comes to water and wastewater rates. When we finish the budget, There will be another component to this increase, which will be essentially driven by the actual expenditures in those programs. These dollars are earmarked to go into reserve for capital. Be happy to take questions again.
Okay, just, for my part, I just want to note, that these, rates of the 1.7 and 3.5 were suggested 1.7 for the next 15 years and the 3.5 for the next 20 years. But it's important to note at the time of that, asset management plan, there were no contemplated changes in our service levels, nor any requirements for anticipated growth. So I think that's important for council and the members of the public to understand that these were based on the information we had at the time, and situations may change and develop as the community moves forward. So that's all for me. Councillor Owen?
Yeah, as a elected official and as a ratepayer, of course, I never happy to see the costs go up to the residents. The alternative is not to raise the rates, and then all of a sudden you're gonna be hit with a 30–40% increase because that's what's needed to fix the system. And again, I think it needs to be emphasized that there may be additional increases when the budget comes. We've seen the study. We know that our water and sewer systems are in oftentimes not the best shape, and we can't ignore it any longer. So I just want to warn people that these are not the final figures, and it's possible that these could go higher. Thank you.
Anything further from members of council? Councillor Shava?
Yeah, to you, Madam Mayor, and just to the treasurer, I just want to get this clear because infrastructure deficit is a very big, those are big words. Now we can start from A to Z. So are we talking about the infrastructure deficit within the water and wastewater plants, rather than the pipes in the ground and all of that, or just infrastructure deficit in general, this money here? Or are we just confine them to, let's say, the wastewater plant needed or something capital in nature, then we tap into this, or this could be applied to any other infrastructure that we made in Fed. So can you just clarify that to?
Sure. Madam Mayor, Councillor Shava, these are earmarked for water and wastewater systems. That doesn't just include the plants, it also in-ground pipes, all of the system that gets the water and picks up the sewage from every household in town to the point of treatment or disposal. That's the whole picture. This is supposed to incorporate that portion of it, not the road services above it. And, and not the services that we provide day to day. So the treatment of the water is in the operating budget. But everything else basically that's built up to do that work, that's what this is supposed to envision.
Thank you.
Anything further from members of council?
Yeah, I don't have them left, so.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further from members of council? Do we have to postpone that?
No.
Okay, I'll have the reading of the motion.
Moved by Councillor Lad Shaba, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens, and be it resolved that report number 2024-5 entitled 2024 Water and Wastewater Rates be received. And that council hereby approve an increase to water rates of 1.7% and wastewater rates of 3.5% for 2024. And finally, that the bylaw establishing the 2024 water and wastewater rates for the town of Kirkland Lake be brought forward for 3 readings on February 6, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 6.4, benefits policy, non-union employees and vested sick leave policy. Sandra Young, Manager, Human Resource Services.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to council. So today I'm presenting to you an amended benefits policy for our non-union staff. And this also includes a segregation of a vested sick leave policy for approval. So The policies being presented to reduce employee turnover and increase attraction and retention, all while trying to become an employer of choice. Aside from formatting, reorganization, improvements to wording and housekeeping items, the most notable changes to the policy are replacing the current sick leave plan with 10 sick leave credits, adding an incentive, giving an employees an additional floating holiday to the following year who use 4 or less sick days, increasing short-term disability payments from 66.7% to 75%. And then also having short-term disability payments at 100% based off of the date of hire, not years of service at January 1st. And then also allowing employees to have short-term disability, 1 week paid at 100% from date of hire. And then amending paid holidays to include National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. That's a housekeeping item, but adding Remembrance Day as well. Improved vacation entitlement and allowing employees to have increases earlier, and all new hires will start with 3 weeks vacation. We will also be looking to move current employees up to match the new policy. And bereavement leave would be giving employees 3 paid days, regular working days, for all family members laid out in the ESA. And the segregation of the vested sick leave portion of the policy to create standalone policy. So currently we have 2 staff that fall under this portion of the policy right now. So just the segregation makes it easier to archive for when those 2 employees leave the corporation, hopefully with retirement. So it is recommended that council approve both policies as presented, and I'm open to answer any questions.
Any questions from members of council? Councillor Owen?
Yes, through you, Your Worship. How does this compare with our union employees?
And so all the union employees would have a little bit different, depending on their collective agreements. There's probably won't be this quite the same as this. And like I said, it really just depends on the individual collective agreements, what's negotiated at the table. I think at this point, this would probably be this would be the better of the benefits, but the thought, I guess, would be that union employees could get to this level.
Councillor Shabba?
Oh, I think it's.
No, follow-ups
Okay.
in secondary.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, to HR. So what they have before is vested. To me, vested means that you can actually accumulate that, and upon termination or departure from the employment, then you cash it in, right? So now standalone means standalone but not vested.
So sorry.
Okay, no, so if you have 10 days and 1 year and another year, you have 10 days, you decide to leave, you still get your sick leave, you still get them paid out. My understanding vested means you get something that we are, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, so through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Shabba. This is frozen. So this happened in the past where employees were allowed to vest their sick leave. We do not do that anymore. So basically, whoever had vested sick leave, so the 2 employees left, they're gonna get some sort of a payout from way before when this was actually in place. But now that it's not, that's kind of what the policy is talking about. None of our other staff would have that. So there's a small, like, this was something that's already been in place, still is currently happening. But there's a small amount that gets paid to the employees because of this past policy.
Councillor Owen?
Yeah, I guess my concern is, how much is this gonna cost? And if this is better than what the unions have, how much is it gonna cost us when we go to negotiate with the unions? Because, I mean, if I'm a union paying employee at the town, I'm gonna want at least the same. And I'm just wondering, traditionally, there was a policy in place, I don't know whether it was written or not, concerning wages. And I think holidays, where it was the same as what the unions got. And this seems to not go along with that policy.
So I'm wondering if I can get some input from somebody, like maybe Sean, I'm not sure how. Cause for the financial, like it was noted that the financial considerations would be difficult to forecast at the time. But yeah, in terms of the.
Yeah, and through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Moore. Honestly, I haven't seen the policy that you're speaking of, for the unions. Most of the unions actually had quite a bit better, benefits than non-union at the time. There are a few areas in here that are changing considerably that we probably do see in the future in their plans. But yeah, I haven't seen anything that said that they have the programs.
Oh, Councilor Miles.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, okay, sorry. Councilor Chadwick first.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Sorry.
I just want to follow up because you guys, it's written here that it's difficult to forecast the financial, implication of this at this time, but, is there a way we can get those numbers in future when it's, all clear and firm that we see the numbers? Maybe point that out to us during a budget process, because we've got a lot of information coming in the budget, so it's hard to discern which one is which. Is there something that we can be shown to at a later date when that numbers are very much in the books?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Shabbat. A lot of the items in here will take some time to play out. The old sick leave credit, actually people had as many as, they had to use a 1 day to pay, and then the other 2 were free. And so they had quite a few that they could use. This is actually a different program, so it will take some time to figure out what where it's gonna end up. It might take a year to see, for some of the items. Other items, we can probably see, if it's starting to be used.
Councilor Owens.
Thank you, through you, your worship. I think it's, despite the questions I've been asking, I think it's the right way to go. I believe that, at one time, we were the employer of choice basically in the town. People really, really wanted to work for the town, largely because they had security. They weren't gonna get laid off if the price of gold went down. 2, they had a good benefit package, and they had a retirement that they could achieve if they started young enough at 55. We cannot compete. We are in a competitive market, a very competitive market, and we cannot compete with the mines when it comes to wages. So, in light of the staff turnover we've had in recent years, even though I asked about costs, I mean, that's part of what I believe council should do. I'm certainly in favor of this going through.
Thank you. Anything further from members of council? Oh, sorry, Alan Smith, CAO.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to members of council. The benefit package you have in front of you, the policy, is very comparable to other municipalities. As was mentioned, this policy hasn't been updated in quite a while. And where this takes us, it makes us competitive with other municipalities. The features in the policy are, again, it's nothing groundbreaking. It's just to maintain our competitiveness with other municipalities. So to again become the employer of choice. I would also ask regarding the costs involved, if our treasurer has anything to add to that. It'd be maybe council can, maybe Lloyd can come up to the podium and address if he has any other comments regarding costs he'd like to share with council. Thank you.
Madam Chair, to council, I'll echo Sean's general comment that it's very hard to kind of estimate the true cost of this. I can kind of point out a few things that we're gonna watch for, and we're gonna try and understand a bit better as the policy takes, assuming your approval tonight. The sick leave one is a good example. So in the past, you could actually access more than 10 days of sick leave. We had a kind of a staged system. But what we found out is that for the average employee who doesn't take sick leave an awful lot, it was a disadvantage to them because on the second one, they had to skip a day's pay to get to the sick leave system versus this model, which is you get 10 days in a pool. So from a financial point of view, let me swing back to that quickly. Depending on the uptake on it, we don't know how it's going to compare to what was being used before. In theory, everybody could take 10 days of sick leave, and that would be the worst case scenario, I suppose. Is it an increased cost? In some departments, probably. You know, if you're in recreation or TPR, for example, they have to call people in. So if they're gonna keep the facilities open to keep them working, they have to call people in. If you're in treasury or works or some of the other ones, they may not have to call people in. They'll just have to make do with a smaller staff group. So again, that's part of the reason why it's very hard to say this is the dollar amount attached to it. We just don't know, you know, practically speaking, TPR, who isn't for the most part of this discussion, but they're a good indicator. You know, they didn't see, there is no significant difference in the way their people take sick leave versus the admin group and some of the other unions. So, some of the other items on here, I don't know that there's a clear increase in cost, you know, on the budget. So, you know, the sick leave is the one that could play out to be a real number. The other ones are not really, I don't know at this point.
Perfect, thank you for those additions. I'll have the reading of the motion.
Certainly, moved by Councillor Rick Owen, seconded by Councillor Patrick Kiley. Be it resolved that report number 2024-46 entitled Benefits Policy, Non-Union Employees and Vested Sick Leave Policy be received, and that council approve the updated benefits policy, non-union employees as presented, and that council approve the vested sick leave policy as presented, and find that the updated benefits policy, non-union employees and vested sick leave policy both be numbered and inserted into the corporate policy manual.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you to all staff on that one. Item number 7, considerations of notices of motion. I will now ask Acting Mayor Shaba to take my seat.
You can ask me if you ask me before. Yeah. That's my, please.
Okay, item 7.1, Mayor Stacy White.
Thank you. Yeah, can Madam Clerk please read the motion just so we get.
Sharing services.
It would be moved by Mayor Stacy White and seconded by Councillor Rick Owen. Whereas Kirkland Lake residents and those across the province on programs such as Ontario Works receive targeted fixed monthly incomes of $733 and ODSP recipients receive $1,376. And whereas the current Ontario minimum wage rate for a person working 37.5 hours per week will earn approximately $2,500 monthly before tax. And whereas in accordance with the Timiskaming Foundation's 2021 Vital Signs Report, in the district of Timiskaming, up to 15% are living on low income, which is less than $36,000 a year after taxes. And whereas the median rent for a 1-bedroom apartment in the town of Kirkland Lake, in accordance with the district of Timiskaming Social Services and Administration Board for 2023, is $1,513 a month. And whereas according to the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, which is CMHC, rent is considered attainable when it is no more than 30% of gross annual income, and the number of people receiving government benefits has increased to a level above the provincial average in the district of Timiskaming. And whereas as of September 2023, there are 348 persons on the social services wait list for subsidized housing, with 5 persons on specialty priority in the town of Kirkland Lake. And whereas in accordance with the Kirkland Lake Salvation Army Food Bank use is up 37% in the town of Kirkland Lake, and as many as 782 residents experience food insecurity over a year's time. And whereas district-wide collected data of housing and poverty statistics and continue to examine the pending economic vulnerability as a result is important in establishing a livable income. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Kirkland Lake join other municipalities in the district of Temiskaming to urge the federal and provincial governments to establish a guaranteed livable income program, and that this motion be sent to the Prime Minister of Canada, the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Children's Community and Social Services, the Member of Parliament for Timmins James Bay, the Member of Provincial Parliament for Timiskaming Cochrane, and finally that the motion be circulated to all municipalities within the district of Timiskaming, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities FCM, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario AMO, and the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities PNOL.
Thank you for that, Madam Clerk. Through you, Acting Mayor Shava. So as you can see, there's certainly need within our own community for a guaranteed livable income. I want to point out that there has been trials in the past of a universal basic income. This is slightly different. UBIs are across the board regardless of thresholds. Guaranteed livable income is a top up for those that will not meet certain thresholds. I do want to really sincerely thank both Madam Clerk and Economic Development Manager for their work on this motion. It was meant to be easy peasy support motion. Prince Edward County, oh yes, that's a good idea. Kirkland Lake should support it. And they really put in hard work to make sure that the information that we're putting out is current and truthful and really reflective of the Kirkland Lake existence. So I do appreciate that. I will take any questions if there are any, and
Can I have Councilor Bowman, the secretary, to speak to the motion, and then we'll open it up, okay?
Yes, through you, Acting Mayor Shava. Anything that goes to reduce potential costs for the municipality and at the same time brings people a little bit of dignity and a chance to live a little more comfortably. Anyone who's ever struggled financially knows how difficult it is. And unfortunately, in my opinion, what DSAP is able to pay doesn't allow people to live with dignity and have a decent place to live. And in Canada, I believe we should all have that. So I definitely would support this motion, and hopefully the rest of council will see it that way as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Any comments? None? Yeah.
You can ask if they want me to read the motion or.
Would you like them to read it? It's a long, very long one. We got the gist. Yeah. Can I speak?
Yeah, if you wish.
Can I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I don't know if I can speak to that.
Yeah.
Well, I will speak to it. I can tell you one thing, that I was a local president for many years at Elm College. And it is so sad, at that particular time, people always don't look at students as being poor. Or you see a few of them. Now we see a lot of people. So the faces of poverty, very many in our community, even seniors, even people that are low income, getting some minimum wage and whatnot. So it is really, this is a very, very well written motion to help our neighbors, to help our friends, to help, others too, that may be in their need of a livable wage. So I'm going to support it, and I urge everyone, councilor, to support it as well. Thank you. Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor of this motion?
Or any opposed, and you just identify the vote.
Nobody opposed.
Okay. None opposed, so you can say.
Okay, anybody opposed to this motion? None, okay.
So,
Motion is carried.
thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Everybody ready for it.
I know. I know, but it's still part of the.
Last
Thank you, Anthony and Shava. I do appreciate you taking the chair. Item number 7.2, Councillor Rick Owen, investigate the development of multi-unit residential development in the downtown core. Would you like me to have the motion read?
Yes, please, thank
Please
you.
proceed, Madam Clerk.
It is moved by Councillor Rick Owen, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens. Whereas there is a need for serviced multi-residential lots in Kirkland Lake. And whereas there are currently no pre-service subdivisions within the town of Kirkland Lake. And whereas provincial and federal government's policies call for increased population density in municipal cores close to services. And whereas the corporation of the town of Kirkland Lake owns part of mining claims 1829, L 2103, TC 709, and TC 710, parcels 68.8, 7599, and 8670 CST, which lands are currently serving as a parking lot. And whereas council is of the opinion that the above noted properties are underutilized, and whereas the above noted properties connect to town services, which are utilities, as well as electrical services from Water Lane. And whereas the above noted properties are close to services that residents would use on a regular basis. Therefore, be it resolved that council direct the CAO to investigate the feasibility of developing the above noted lands for multi-unit residential buildings. And finally, that an information report be presented to council for consideration.
Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and through you, Madam Mayor. This parking lot has historically been the discussion of previous councils. When we still had parking meters downtown, in an effort to try and get the parking off of Government Road and into the parking lot, they made parking in that parking lot free, whereas you still paid on Government Road. The result was not an increase in use. People still kept parking. Prior to this motion being presented, I did a very unscientific drive-by when I could basis survey of the parking lot. And the most cars that I counted in that large parking lot was 15. The least I counted was 6. So it's definitely property that is underutilized and has been for many years. I did have the property size. It's approximately 2.66 acres. If you look at the diagram that's up on the screen, that arm that's reaching out to the right goes out to Prospect Avenue, and could be, historically, I was told that was a road allowance, and it's behind the medical center and in front of the old Commodore Motel. That could be a real advantage into attracting a development down there, because you could have 2 entrance exits, which phenomenally increases the safety in terms of fire department and ambulance and police having 2 ways in and out. This area would be ideal for, say, a seniors development, because it's within easy walking distance of banks, a drugstore, 2 medical centers, dentist's office, almost all the services that seniors would require. It's also well laid out for a townhouse type development. If you go to Southern Ontario, you'll see that there are many townhouse developments that are off the main streets. They use the front lawn for 2 parking spots for the residents, and they have some allocated parking within the development. And it either is in a crescent shape or it has a turnaround at the end. This lot would be ideal for that as well. Potentially, depending on ground conditions and other building circumstances, it could also be developed for high-rise, well, Kirkland Lake high-rise apartments. So it definitely falls within both federal and provincial policies, which are constantly asking municipalities to increase density close to services, thus reducing carbon footprint. And we certainly, in the last council, increased the parking downtown on the old, by making the old Woolworths lot a parking lot, and that definitely increased downtown parking by more than 15 spaces. So, like, if this is feasible, we really wouldn't be taking away parking from downtown. We'd just be making efficient use of land that otherwise is sitting there and costing us thousands of dollars every winter to plow. So be open to questions, or I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Casey wants to say something.
Councillor Owens, you have the opportunity to speak next.
Counselor Owen, that's more covered.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
Yeah.
Councillor Shaba.
Yeah, I think I have a question to you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to support this motion. I just want clarification. Do we have a zoning problem right now for this parking space? It's not zoned for, because what we're asking I read it again. I said, well, I don't think our CEO is a developer, so how can he actually go ahead and investigate the feasibility of multi-units there? I don't know, maybe you can do that, leave that up to him, but we're talking about zoning issues. Is it zoned for that type of building now, or it's not zoned for it? If it's a zoning issue, then I think this will have to be really maybe amended to allow us to rezone it, to allow for multi-residential units, as simple as that. Instead of telling the CEO, well, come back and tell us if we can go multi-unit residential. I mean, that to me is getting into developers' area of expertise. So if it's a zoning issue, well, I'm willing to amend the motion to again rezone it to allow for such a development. Sorry.
Councillor Owen, do you prefer to answer this, or should I bring up a staff member that could speak to
Well,
these issues?
I think I can answer it. It's, no, it is not zoned for multi-unit residential housing. We would have to get a zoning change in order to allow this to go through. It's only one of many things that we would have to check into. We'd have to check into the pressure of the water lines. We have to check into this, or the contractor would have to check into the stability of the soil and all the other conditions that they would have to be met. All I'm asking for is a report from the town's perspective, if this is a viable use of that particular property. And if it is, I believe this could be the beginning of the revitalization of the downtown area, because if you put more people down there, businesses have more reason to locate down there. But no, it does need a zoning. It's currently, I forget, sorry, Brooklyn has been very helpful on this project. Maybe Brooklyn, you could come up at this point. It's in my notes somewhere, Councillor Shevin.
So through you, Madam Mayor to Council, it's zoned as C1 Town Center Commercial, which does permit residential units in the rear and second floor and above of a building, but it doesn't permit residential in the front of the building that is reserved for commercial storefronts.
Councillor Dykens?
To you, Mayor White, to council. There were common themes at Roma, which, you know, we all know: infrastructure, healthcare issues, affordable housing, and so on. So everybody's looking for money, and one of the things I heard is that we need to be creative and innovative. And I think this fits in it. I don't know all the technical realities, and I think that's what you're asking, just that we look into it. But I think it fits very well, like in what you said too, Brooklyn, about you have to partner with different parts of government as well. So if you have I forget how you refer to it, but the storefront basically on the main floor, and then you can have units above or behind. So it's drawing from different funds as well with the provincial government. So that's all to say is I support this. It's very creative and innovative.
Excellent. CAO Alan Smith.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to council. Aspects on zoning and what possibilities could be developed for that land will be coming back in a detailed report, partly as a feasibility, partly what required for zoning. So that will be coming back to council. So we will give you a full analysis of potential of the property and what exactly has to be done, even with respect to zoning and other important issues around that property. So that's all going to be coming back to council in a one report that again will look at all these details that council is currently bringing up. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Councillor Kylie. Oh, you're muted, sir.
Sorry, I'd just like to comment. I had a suggestion to Alan last week. In the city of Calgary, where they had a high vacancy rate for commercial properties in the downtown area, what they had come up with was providing grants to convert these to multi-res units and subsidizing the units by up to $75 per square foot. I thought it was kind of a unique idea. Obviously costs some money, but you get your money back in taxes quite quickly. But it's something we may want to consider in that report, Alan.
Sorry, CAO Smith.
Through Madam Mayor to Councillor. Yes, what you're describing, we are looking at updating our community improvement plan, and imagine a grant like that would be included in that update. So that is something that would be included in the review of the CIP specifically, because that kind of grant would have to be offered through that program. But yes, I totally agree that is something we should consider looking at and providing council with that information.
Yeah, because we have a lot of downtown properties, commercial properties that are vacant that could be converted. So I appreciate your input, Ellen.
Just a reminder that we're to speak to the motion at hand and not introduce other ideas when discussing a specific motion, unless you're going to bring an amendment to such motion. Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Councillor Owen?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that this is just a study looking at the possibility. It's something that hit me one day when I was driving by the parking lot. And sometimes the obvious things you don't see, they're right there, but you don't see them. But I want to emphasize, this is not a decision. It's not even a recommendation that we go ahead with it. All it is a study to see if it's feasible. And then we can have the discussion about, do we want to put that land up for sale to a developer and see if we can get development there. So I don't want people in the public to think that a decision's been made. And also I would welcome any input from the public on this idea, as I'm sure any other counselor would, because it is kind of a drastic change that we're considering for the downtown area. So I would appreciate it if anybody in the public had an opinion, they get a hold of me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further from members of council? Nothing noted? Do we require a rereading of the motion?
No, I believe not, your worship.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you. Item number 8, introduction, reading, and consideration of bylaws. 8.1 bylaw number 24-003.
Moved by Councillor Latchap, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens, be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk, and a seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 24-003, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a transfer payment agreement with His Majesty the King and Right of Ontario, as represented by the Minister of Solicitor General for the 2023-2024 Mobile Crisis Response Team, which is MCRT Enhancement Grant.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item 8.2 bylaw number 24-004.
Moved by Councillor Rick Owen, seconded by Councillor Patrick Kiley, be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk, and a seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 24-004, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a temporary services agreement for Integrity Commissioner Services and to appoint an interim Integrity Commissioner for the town of Kirkland Lake, being Mr. Harold G. Elston.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item 6.3 bylaw number 24-005.
Moved by Councillor Lad Shaba, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens. Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 24-005, being a bylaw to provide for interim tax levy and to provide for the payment of taxes and to provide for penalty and interest.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item 8.4 bylaw number 24-006.
Moved by Councillor Rick Owens, seconded by Councillor Lad Shaba. Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 24-006, being a bylaw to authorize the borrowing for current expenditures for 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Pardon me. Item number 9, questions from council to staff. There were none submitted prior to council. Item number 10, notices of motion. None noted. Item number 11, councilors' reports. Councillor Owen.
Thank you, your worship, through you, to council. I had the pleasure of standing with the mayor and several town staff, employees of Northern Telephone today, as the mayor declared today to be the Bell Let's Talk Day in Kirkland Lake. This issue is very close to me. I have never kept it a secret that I have struggled with alcohol and that I have struggled with depression. And I hope, when I was a newspaper reporter and I was in early recovery and I was writing about it, I did so in an attempt to give other people hope. And what I found out was I had so many people approach me. It seemed like there wasn't a family in Kirkland Lake that wasn't touched by either addiction or mental illness. And I was very satisfied because I started the discussion, not just me. I mean, it fits in with the Let's Talk. Today I'm healthy and a little bit emotional because I know where I was and I know where I am now. And it's been a long journey. But today I'm healthy, and I was very fortunate because, you know, you can get a psychiatrist, but it might not be the right psychiatrist for you. You can get a social worker, but it might not be the right social worker for you. All my people fell into place, and And that made a big difference. The toll that addiction and mental illness takes on a family, is just incredible. And, when we're talking about this issue, we must remember that both these things are family diseases. It's not just the person who's sick, they make the people around them, in a sense, sick as well. So I'm very pleased that Bell has this Let's Talk Day, and that they make millions of dollars in donations for various treatment programs throughout Canada. In fact, some of the money has come to CMHA in Kirkland Lake in the past. And I just want to encourage people, if they know somebody that's suffering, reach out to them, just let them know you're there. That's all they need to know. They just need to know that they're loved. So thank you.
Councillor Owen, anything further from members of council? Councillor Dykens?
To you, Madam Mayor, the council, as you know, attended Roma with the mayor and CAO, but since it just ended yesterday at noon and I was traveling back, driving home at midnight last evening, I'd like to defer my report to our next regular meeting of council, if that's allowed, so I could have something somewhat informative this year.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councillor Owens?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got caught up in the moment. I'm very pleased to report that I put forward a motion at the DSAB for a 0% increase in the payment that we made to them. Ian McPherson seconded it, and Councillor Kiley backed the motion as well. So as a result, a vote was taken, and the vote was 8 in favor of a 0% increase. 1 was opposed. The person that opposed it was from a rural municipality that has, as far as I know, no water pipes, no sewer pipes, no sewage treatment plant, no water treatment plant. They have vehicles and a couple of buildings. So as a result, DSAB took just over 400,000 to achieve out of their reserves to achieve this. And because of the formula that's used, which takes into account things like assessment, population, number of people on Ontario Works programs, we actually will see a very slight decrease in the amount of money that we pay to DSAB this year. So that's good news. And I just want to thank the other municipalities representatives who supported me on this issue, because it's very difficult to get a 0% increase. It's certainly not was not DSAB's first choice, but it's not going to hurt DSAB. And they had a surplus last year. So if we had not taken money out of the reserves would have actually gone up. So I'm really happy. I want to say I'm proud of what I achieved, but that would be boasting. I am very happy with the result. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Shabbat?
I just have a question for Councillor Rick. Yes, we did get the letter from Sark about the decrease. Thank you very much. However, my question is that the money in the reserve, everything was utilized towards this, or there's some left in reserve?
Through you, your worship, in their working reserve, they have a policy that they must have enough money in the reserve for a month and a half of business operations for the entire DSAB. And they have more than that. In total, prior to this 400,000, in various reserves, they have just over $12 million in reserves, which is something quite a bit.
Thank you for that. Okay, anything further from members of council? Councillor Kylie, did you have your hand up, sir?
No, I echoed what Councillor Owens was saying, that actually we ended up with a 0.28% decrease from last year. So all good news.
Absolutely, thank you, sir. As per Councillor Dykens, I too will be presenting a more fulsome report about Roma at our next council meeting. However, I do wish to inform members of council staff and public regarding the results of the delegations. We first met with the Honorable Greg Rickford, Minister of Northern Development and Indigenous Affairs. We presented the need for a new fire hall and highlighted the fact that our aerial truck is now housed outside at Public Works due to the current fire hall's inability to simply house today's equipment. Mr. Rickford, always being ready with a solution, suggested we utilize a large Quonset hut to protect this asset from the elements while going through the process of feasibility, site location, and design of the new fire hall. He was very positive that his ministry could be able to assist us with funding in that regard. And so our staff will be in contact with his team to secure funding to at least while we're waiting for our process to move ahead with the fire hall, at least that asset may be protected from the elements. So that is a win. We did delegate to the Honorable Kinga Surma, Minister of Infrastructure, regarding both the need to decommission the pumping station at McTavish and replace it with a nesting valve so that we can replenish Gull Lake if our needs be such. And we also, of course, presented the results from EXP Services, their initial findings and recommendations to address our water pressure and fire flow protection issues. She was quite responsive to our request and pointed us to the new Housing Enabling Water System Fund. Our final independent delegation was to the Honorable Paul Calandra, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, regarding housing development and growth. It's no secret that one of my objectives for 2022 to 2026 is to build our community. And with this delegation, Councillor Dykens, CAO Smith, and I brought it to the Ontario government in a very big way. This ministry also brought us to the Housing Enabling Water System Funds, and we have received follow-up emails in that regard already. Kirkland Lake is on the cusp of potentially the largest residential development in the Northeast in decades. And our council may have to work very quickly, including calling emergency meetings to meet the April funding deadline. But I'm sure every member at this table is more than willing to do what needs to be done for the success of our community. Our final delegation was supporting Temiskaming Shores regarding funding of the community safety and well-being plans with the Honorable Solicitor General, Michael Kersner. It's important to note that these plans were required by the Ontario government. To date, no targeted funding has been brought forward to fund implementation. This issue was also brought forth during the Ministers' Forum during the conference. It appears funding for this plan is on the mind of many municipalities across Ontario. We're hopeful in the future the government will consider a targeting funded stream for CSWB plans, because without funding, we can foresee smaller municipalities simply being unable to financially support the plans. It's really nice not to return empty-handed from delegations, and I look forward to sharing more details with Kirkland Lake as we move forward. I'll have the reading of the motion.
Certainly, Madam Mayor, moved by Councillor Dolly Dykens, seconded by Councillor Patrick Kylie. Be resolved that the verbal updates from members of council be received.
All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. Item number 12, additional information. There is none this evening. And we shall now take a 10-minute recess before moving into closed. Okay, so we will now move into closed session. Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Casey Owens, seconded by Councillor Dolly Dykens. Be it resolved that council adjourn in camera pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended at 5:58 p.m. to discuss personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, labor relations or employee negotiations, and a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to, to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board for the following reasons. Item 13.1, IAFF collective bargaining direction. Item 13.2, request to purchase part mining claims L 1355 and L 6730 on Archer Drive, Chart Technologies.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. We will now reconvene an open session.
Moved by Councillor Dolly Dykens, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen, be it resolved that council reconvene in open session at 6:58 PM.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Any pecuniary interest arising from matters closed?
Yes,
Councillor Shaba?
Madam Chair, I have a form here for a conflict of interest. I'm gonna read it. I, like Shaba, am declaring indirect pecuniary interest on the agenda of the meeting dated Wednesday, January 24, 2024. An open meeting, agenda item 14.1. Agenda title, the request to purchase part of mining claims L 1355 and LK 6730 on Archer Drive. It's an indirect, I'm a shareholder and director of a private corporation with a pecuniary interest. The nature of my interest as follows. My firm did the engineering work for Chart Technologies, which is the purchaser of this land claims.
Thank you. Item number 14.1, request to purchase part of mining claim L 1355 and LK 6730 on Archer's Drive.
I'm looking for a mover and a second, Madam Mayor.
We need a mover and a seconder.
I'd like to move it.
There we go. Councillor Dykens.
Sure.
Councillor Owen.
Moved by Councillor Dolly Dykens, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen, be it resolved that report number 2024 DEB 003 entitled request to purchase part of mining claim L 1355 and L 6730 on Archer Drive be received, and that council declare part mining claim L 1355 and part mining claim L 6730 as surplus land, and that council approve the sale of land described as part mining claim L 1355 and part mining claim L 6730 to Chart Technologies Limited in the sum of $111,592. And that council authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to execute the offer to purchase and all appropriate sale documents as may be required. And finally, that council authorize the bylaw of the sale of property to begin 3 readings at an upcoming meeting.
Any comments or questions from council members? None noted. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you. And we retrieve Councillor Shaba. Item number 15, confirmation bylaw, 15.1, bylaw number 24-007.
Moved by Councillor Dolly Dykens, seconded by Councillor Latala, be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk, for sale of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 24-007 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Wednesday, January 24th, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 16, adjournment.
Moved by Councillor Rick Owen, seconded by Councillor Dolly Dykens, be it resolved that this regular meeting of council be now adjourned at 7:02 PM.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you, everyone.